All right, so welcome everyone to our planning meeting for Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. And as we all know that we're in this new world of virtual meetings due to COVID-19, and we're holding this meeting virtually so that we can keep everyone safe, and we're taking the measures to help stop the spread. So this meeting will be virtual, and we are going to be live streaming it on YouTube. And anyone that is going to be joining us with the application, I just want to remind you that obviously you will be recorded both with the audio and visual, and the comments will be part of the live stream that is going to be provided tonight. And myself as chair, and I believe it's Morgan now, is our host of this Zoom webinar. So if there is anything, any reason why we need to stop the live stream, we will do that. And that would only be in a very, in a circumstance that it's, that we need to. So with that being said, we do have 3 applications that are in front of us for today. And then we also have an update from our planner, Aaron Besh, regarding an official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. So I need to have a motion from council to convene as the Committee of Adjustment for the purpose of hearing minor variance applications A06 2020 and B02 2020 and A05 2020 and B03 2020. And we'll say that's at 7:03. Councilor McKinnon, and seconded by Councilor Brody. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. All right, so the first one, as I just mentioned, is A06 2020, and it's a minor variance for Brett and Abby Lashbrook, and that's at 27 Buttrey Court. And I think they're here. We just have to add them in to the call. Brett, are you able to hear us? I think you're muted.
Hello.
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. Excellent. Welcome. So you're able to hear now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we can hear you. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our planner, Aaron Besh, go through the planning report, and then I'll ask if you have anything you'd like to add. And then I'll, following that, we'll see if any members of the Committee of Adjustment want to make any comments. And then we're going to have a 5-minute recess to allow any members of the public to call or email in to the clerk. And then we'll come back for a decision from the Committee of Adjustment.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Excellent. Okay, Aaron.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of the first application this evening is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw as it relates to maximum height requirement for an accessory building. Specifically, the applicant is requesting permission for the construction of an accessory building with a maximum height of 7.9 meters or 26 feet from grade to peak, whereas the maximum building height for an accessory building is 5 meters or 16.4 feet according to our zoning bylaw. The applicant originally requested that relief be granted with respect to the above provisions in order to permit the construction of a detached garage that is 112 square meters or roughly 1,200 square feet in size. So I have spoken to Mr. Lashbrook since the original application. He has indicated that he would in fact prefer to expand the structure. So he's looking at more of a roughly 1,600 square foot building. But that does not impact the height variance that is being requested this evening. He has also indicated that he does not anticipate to even need the 26 feet. However, that is what he has moved forward with the request. So the applicant again has advised that the increased height of the proposed structure is to accommodate taller than average garage doors. Greg, did you get my email by chance? Brett forwarded me just an updated picture today that perhaps we could bring up.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take a quick look and I'll see if I can bring that up for you.
Sure, thank you very much. It's just a rough sketch that Brett has submitted. just to give committee just more of an idea of what he's proposing. So the lands contain a 2-story single detached dwelling and a shed. The dwelling and attached garage is approximately 9 meters or 30 feet in height from grade to peak and roughly 3,390 square feet in size. Property is serviced by a well and septic system. The applicant has indicated that neither of these will be affected by the proposed structure. So this will just give you a quick update on what he is requesting. So the front portion, I know it's a tad small here. The front portion is approximately 30 by 40 square feet with a cold storage portion that he is now proposing on the rear of the structure. And again, this is not going to affect the height variance that is being requested this evening. Thank you very much, Craig. So I have analyzed the application based on the 4 tests of minor variance. I do not have any revisions to my analysis based on the proposed increase to the structure. I still maintain that it satisfies the needs or meets the test of the minor variance. The application was circulated to the prescribed agencies and surrounding property owners. The chief building official recommends that eave and trough be installed on the accessory structure to direct water away from the lot line. And as required by the building law, an up-to-date survey will be required to be submitted showing the proposed accessory structure at the time of application for building permit. The township's drainage superintendent advised of no concerns of the application, nor have we received anything from the public. So my recommendation this evening for minor variance A06-2020 is that it be granted subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the subject accessory building include eave and trough along the length of the building's fascia, and the related downspout be directed away from any neighboring property to the satisfaction of the township's chief building official.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Brett, do you have anything you'd like to add at all?
Nope, that's all sounds good. Thanks.
All right, is there any questions or comments from members of the Committee of Adjustment? No, seeing none. Aaron, just for clarification, the size of building, so that is in conformity to the zoning bylaw then?
Yes, Chair. We do not have maximum requirements for accessory structures within our general provisions. So we adhere to the lot coverage provisions, which are usually about 40% of the lot, which is quite significant for larger lots. That's why we see a lot of these sort of minor variance height these height variances. But no, it does not impact any other zoning provisions.
Okay, that's what I understood. I just wanted to get that clarification. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments from the Committee of Adjustment, then we're going to have that 5-minute recess to see if anybody is watching online and would like to make any comments. All right, I guess we're back from our 5-minute recess. Jennifer, did we get any comments, questions? Nothing. Okay.
Sorry, nothing further. I had it on mute.
That's okay. I saw your head shaking back and forth. All right. Okay, with that, so we have the recommendation that's in front of us, and that is to grant the minor variance application with the one condition. So do we have anyone on the Committee of Adjustment that would like to move that? I see Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Brody. Is there any further discussion at all? All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, thank you so much for attending, Brett.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so with that, we'll move into the next application, and that is B02-2020, and it's a consent application for Alex Clark at 27748 Kerwood Road. And I believe we have Alex joining us. Excellent. Alex, are you able to hear us? Yep.
Hear me now or no?
Yes, we can.
Good. Awesome.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to have Aaron go through the report, and then following that, if you have any comments that you'd like to make, and then the Committee of Adjustment will make any ask any questions or make any comments. We'll have a 5-minute recess, and then we'll come back to see if there's any comments from the public, and then from there we'll make a decision on the application.
Good.
All right, Aaron, if you would like to go through the report.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this application is to sever one lot from an approximately 1,214 square meter property within the village of Kerwood. The application would facilitate the creation of one residential building lot. The lot currently contains a vacant single detached dwelling that is to be removed, which is serviced by a private water well and a municipal sanitary system. The subject lands are located on the east side of Kerwood Road, or County Road 6, in the village of Kerwood. The subject lands are located within the residential use and commercial use designations of the Adelaide Metcalfe official plan and within the village residential VR zone of our zoning bylaw. So I don't usually go through too much of the policy and regulatory context section. However, I did want to touch on the policy within the official plan. Section 5.1 of the official plan, which states that boundary lines between land use designations are approximate, except where they coincide with roads, railways, rivers, or similar geographic barriers. Where such features do not exist, the exact determination of boundaries shall be the responsibility of council. So council may permit, without an amendment to the plan, minor departures from these boundary lines or to satisfy that the intent of the plan is maintained. So the reason I bring up this policy is that the lower portion, the southern portion of the property is actually within the commercial designation. That whole area to the south of the property is actually designated for commercial use. However, the predominant use actually is residential. So although the property is dually designated, I would argue that the primary use of the property really should be residential. And that council is able to make the determination because there's no physical geographic barrier or road or something very finite that can make that determination. I'd say that council would have the ability to determine that the entire property is in fact residential in use. So the application was circulated to all of the prescribed agencies as well as surrounding property owners. The township's chief building official indicated several firstly, that the proposal does not meet the minimum frontage of 20 meters in the VR zone, and a site-specific zoning will be required. Number two, sewer stubs will be required for both lots, as it appears that there's currently one stub in place, plus payment as required under Bylaw 36 of 2010. The next point, a property survey prepared by a qualified professional and demonstrating the two lots will be required. And as well, each lot will be required to have their own driveway access as per the general provisions of our zoning bylaw. And that will be to the satisfaction of the County of Middlesex, who is the jurisdiction or the road authority in this area. The township's drainage superintendent indicated that it can, as a condition of approval, be included to provide an approved detailed lot grading plan for both lots to ensure that all surface water can be graded and directed away from all adjacent property lines to either the street or another approved drainage infrastructure. The township's road manager advised of no concerns, and the county engineer indicated that the owner would be required to dedicate lands up to 13 meters from the center line of construction of County Road 6 across both the severed and retained parcels to be deeded to the County Middlesex for the purposes of road widening if the right-of-way is not already to that width. We also received comment from Enbridge and Rogers Communications, both indicating that they do not have concerns with the application. However, they do have facilities in the area. So if Enbridge, if the property requires an additional gas line be installed, that would be at the cost of the applicant. And Rogers Communications says that they do require that locate still be done at time of construction. So we did receive several public comments on this application. The first one being from 27747 Clyde Street in Kerwood. A letter of opposition was received from the owner. The author has several concerns with the proposal, primarily related to water availability and water quality in the area. They're concerned that the introduction of an additional well will affect the existing wells in the area. The landowner also has concerns about the proposed lot sizes to be severed, as they do not conform to the VR zoning requirements. The author has also provided a sketch showing their interpretation of the building envelopes of the two lots. And finally, the author has concerns about the state of the existing dwelling and the fact that it's not yet been demolished, and a copy of the letter was attached to my report. The second public consultation or public concern was from 1735 Mackenzie Street in Kerwood. An email of opposition was received by the township from the landowner of the above noted address. The author identified their primary concern related to the proposed severance to be the size of the lots and subsequently the size of the home that could be built on the lots. A copy of the email was attached to my report as well. As of today, we also received a third piece of public input, a letter of opposition from 27749 Clyde Street. I'm so sorry. Ruby, stop. Stop it. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to ignore her, but I hope my boss doesn't watch this video. So with the water well, their current water well is pumping at the low end. So creating two lots instead of one, they're very concerned that it would have an effect on their existing well. So they just had some input as to whether or not that will be an appropriate proposal for the village. So I analyzed the application, the provincial policy statement, county official plan, and township official plan all direct that settlement areas should be the focus of growth and development, subject to appropriate servicing. I am satisfied that the proposal to create one additional building lot can be considered infill development within a settlement area, provided the applicant is able to demonstrate adequate supply of potable water for the severed and retained lots, as well as adequate sanitary sewage capacity in the municipally owned sanitary system. Staff recommend that this be included as a condition of approval. I have also generally evaluated the proposed development based on criteria for new development in residential areas, and I'm satisfied that the proposed use as being residential is compatible with existing neighborhood uses. I also note that properties of similar size do exist in Kerwood and are capable of providing sufficient space for dwellings, private on-site water wells, as well as amenity and privacy space. So I'm of the opinion that the proposed severance represents desirable infill development that would make use of existing municipal services and infrastructure. I do note, as pointed out or indicated by the Chief building official, the proposed lot area and frontage are deficient for our VR zone. So I recommend as a condition of approval that a minor variance be granted to recognize the deficient lot area and frontage that would be created through the severance. I also recommend, if approved, that the applicant be required to demonstrate lot grading and drainage, which are adequate on both lots. And that would be to the satisfaction of the drainage superintendent. Individual accesses will also be required to each lot, with permits and approvals required by the County of Middlesex. As indicated by the chief building official, separate sanitary stubs are required to both lots, with all costs of installation and road repair borne by the applicant. The applicant would also be required to provide a survey plan demonstrating the proposed lot lines and land dedication to be reviewed and approved by the township prior to depositing at the land registry office. I will note that the applicant has had a survey completed, so that will be something that will be easily satisfied for them, and we can approve it prior to them having it registered. The subject property is located within the residential use and commercial use designations of the township's plan. And again, based on policy 5.1 of the official plan, I believe that the boundaries between the residential use and commercial use designations could be evaluated with being fully within the residential use designation, as the majority of the site falls within the residential use. And there's no road or geographic features separating the two uses. So in summary, I'm satisfied that the criteria for creation of the one residential lot has been met or can be appropriately addressed through conditions of approval. So my recommendation this evening is that the consent be granted, subject to the following conditions. Number one, that the certificate of consent shall be given within 1 year of the date of the notice of decision. Number two, that the applicant solicitor submits an undertaking in a form satisfactory to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment to register electronic transfers of title. Number three, that a preliminary survey showing the lands being severed and the location of all buildings and structures be submitted to the township prior to being deposited at the land registry office. Number four, that 2 paper copies and 1 digital copy of the reference plan be submitted. Number five, that a minor variance be granted to recognize the deficient lot area and lot width of the lot to be retained and the lot to be severed. Number six, that if required, the owner provide road widening dedication to the County of Middlesex of up to 13 meters from the center line of Kerwood Road. Number seven, that independent accesses to the lot to be severed and lot to be retained be provided, and that any necessary road permits be obtained by the authority having jurisdiction. Number eight, that both the lot to be severed and the lot to be retained be connected to the municipal sanitary service with all costs, including applicable fees and charges, borne by the applicant. Number nine, that an adequate and potable water supply be demonstrated to exist to the satisfaction of the township. Number 10, that it be demonstrated there's adequate sanitary sewer capacity for an additional residential lot within Kerwood. Number 11, that the engineered site servicing and grading plan demonstrates adequate drainage outlets, as well as available area for on-site services for the lot to be severed and the lot to be retained. And number 12, that any outstanding property taxes be paid in full.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Alex, do you have anything you'd like to add at all?
Sure. I'd just like to start by saying thanks for allowing me the chance to speak this evening. I am aware that there are some concerns brought forward by community about developers and new builds. I just want to highlight that I was born and raised in Adelaide Metcalfe Township. I have strong ties to the community, past, present, and generational. I'm a private individual. I'm not a developer. So the plan would be for me to build one house on one of the lots and the second house to be built by my brother. So our intention is to build structures that would not detract from the village, but rather something that would suit the current village streetscape and the community, and construction quality that would meet or exceed the 2 last new builds that have occurred in the village. So in reviewing the concerns that have been put forward by community members, I'm not sure if everyone's received the little handout that I kind of put together, but it just kind of references some existing lots that are on the smaller size, as well as some smaller homes as well on small lots. So this kind of data supports the capacity potential for that type of development. And then I know wastewater was brought up. So in regards to sewage capacity, the existing wastewater facility has ample capacity to allow one additional home on the existing lot. In a 2000 study, or sorry, in 2007, when KMK presented their report to council, there were 210 people living in the village. And I believe the system design shows it can service a population of, I believe, 523. So this is all information I kind of got off the municipal website. And then in regards to water availability, the two most recent wells drilled in the area are generating approximately 20 gallons per minute. This supports that water in the village is not an issue, and this is evidenced by registered well tag number A119833, which was drilled at 27744 Kerwood Road. And other than that, I'll keep it fairly brief and just thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Is there any questions or comments from the members of the Committee of Adjustment at all? Yeah, Councillor McKinnon.
Just a comment. Thank you, Alex, for the information that you provided. The existing wastewater facility was engineered and constructed by BOSS, not KMK. But
Okay.
KMK had an engineered report, but we didn't go with that. But having said that, there's lots of capacity in that wastewater treatment plant for homes to be built as an infilling situation in the village.
Okay.
Okay, before we move on, I think Councillor Brody had a question or comment, but before we do, Coulter, our Public Works Manager, you're on the call here as well. Do you have anything you'd like to add about the wastewater treatment facility and the capacity that is still available? You're muted. No, I can't hear you, Coulter. There you go.
Hello?
There.
You there now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Smith. Yes, the Kerwood sewage treatment site has a maximum design load of 120,000 liters per day as per their certificate of approval. In 2019, the average daily flow was 56,000 liters. So that represents approximately 47% of the design capacity of the system. So there is plenty of room for growth in Kerwood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Coulter. Councillor Brody, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, just one question. So in one of the letters of question that they're questioning, basically it says about building a garage or building another outbuilding on the property, but that would be all according to the building inspector if it meets size requirements. And I think going in with as small of a lot, there probably won't be asking for any more. Well, they can't put any more big outbuildings on, but that would be all in the planning, up to the planning anyways, correct?
Yep.
I don't know who you're asking.
Probably Aaron.
Okay, Aaron.
Certainly, they would be required to meet probably the lot coverage provision of the VR zone. And it would be up to what they propose, really.
Okay. Councillor Brody, have you any other questions at all?
No, I just wanted that clarified for probably the guy that's asking, basically.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Hendricks, do you have any questions at all?
Yeah, I only had concern with the water, but it is a condition, so they have to show that there's well water there, and that was my concern, but it's addressed as a condition, so I'm good.
Okay. And I'll just make a comment if I could. So I don't see an issue with this this application that's before us. I think it's always good. I understand that, you know, there's a lot of larger lots in the Kerwood area, but in the village of Kerwood, but there's also smaller ones as well. And I think with any residential area, it's good to have a mix of large and small. And that's with any type of a residential development. So I think this will be a great addition to the area. And to be completely honest, I'm just happy to see something happening with that property. I've also been in, you know, I've born and raised in Adelaide Metcalfe as well. So I'm not sure how long the house has been vacant, but I'm 31 years old and I've never seen anybody live in it. But it could have been, you know, 30 years ago, I'm not sure. So I'm just happy that we have somebody that is investing in our community and putting, you know, good use to that property. And I think infilling and making the most of the property is a positive thing. So I have no issues with this application at all. So if there's no other questions or comments, we're going to have that 5-minute recess. We're going to see if there's anybody in the public that's watching that has any other additional comments. And then we'll come back and discuss those if there's any, and then we'll make a decision. All right, and we're back. Jennifer, did we receive any additional questions or comments from any members of the public?
We have no additional comments or requests that have come in. However, I do want to note that Aaron spoke to the 2 emails and the 2 letters that we did receive. We received an email from Denise Toth, Justin Barrett, a letter from Basil Martin, and a letter from David Barrett, which Aaron had addressed in her planning application.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, is there any other questions or comments at all from the Committee of Adjustment? Seeing none, so we have the recommendation in front of us, and that is for approval with 12 conditions. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Okay, we have Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Brody. Yep, Deputy Mayor Hendricks here.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, thank you so much, Alex, for joining us. And I'm sure we'll see you soon because you also need to apply for that minor variance. So you'll be back at a future planning meeting.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
All right, next we have minor variance application A05-2020 and consent application B03-2020, and that is for 27775 Kerwood Road. And we have Richard Jansen, I believe, is joining us, and he's the authorized agent for this application. Hopefully.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I actually don't see Richard on the line here with us yet.
Okay. I saw there was another name that was possibly for this one.
We
Julia
did.
Toth, I believe. There's also something.
Sorry, we did have Julia Toth on the line with us earlier, but it looks like she may have dropped off.
Okay. Jennifer, on the notes that you provided me, you have that it's Richard Jansen, and then there's an oral submission of the delegation, Julia Toth. Was she part of the application?
Stop.
So she's a delegate that requested to speak from the public regarding the applications.
Okay, I understand. All right. So was anyone planning on being here for this application?
Richard did sign up. I'm not sure if he ever did come on. If he did, he may have fallen off as well.
Well, we're not going to stick around, so we're going to keep going, and we'll see how this goes. Hopefully there's not too many questions at all for the applicant. So, oh, sorry, Aaron, I guess it's your turn to do the report.
I wasn't going to start without your direction.
Got it. I was wondering, I guess I was in control there because I'm the chair. So yeah, Aaron, go ahead. And just to note, don't worry about, was it a dog that was there or a cat?
She was chewing her loudest chewy bone right underneath my chair. And I was trying to push her away with my feet, but it wasn't working out very well. She's gone now.
That's okay. It's the joys of working from home. So, I'm sure it always happens. Morgan has his dog that walks in the background. And if you're ever watching a county council meeting, our CAO, Bill Rayburn, his little Roomba drives around in the background. It's good entertainment.
Well, thank you for your patience with me. So the purpose of this next application is to sever one lot from an approximately 1,620 square meter property within the village of Kerwood. The application would facilitate the creation of one additional building lot. So to facilitate the severance, the applicant has submitted an application for minor variance, which is being heard this evening as well. And that will recognize the proposed deficient lot area and lot width of the severed and retained lots. Specifically, the application seeks relief from section 10.2 of the zoning bylaw to permit a lot area of 750 square meters, whereas a minimum lot area of 1,200 square meters is required in the village residential zone. So I do apologize, actually, it's the minor variance is not looking for lot width. We are simply looking for the lot area variance. So the lot currently contains a church that is to be converted to a single detached dwelling, which is serviced by a private water well. Staff note that the lands are not currently connected to the municipal sanitary service. So these lands are located fully within the residential use designation of our official plan and within the village residential VR zone of the township zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to the prescribed agencies as well as surrounding property owners. The chief building official indicated that sewer stubs will be required for both lots, plus payments as required under bylaw 36/2010. A property survey prepared by a qualified professional and demonstrating the two lots will be required. And each lot will be required to have their own driveway access as per the general provisions of the township zoning bylaw. Curb cuts will be to the satisfaction of the County of Middlesex, who is the authority having jurisdiction for this road. The township's drainage superintendent indicated that a condition of approval be included to provide an approved drainage lot grading plan for both lots to ensure that all surface water can be graded and directed away from adjacent existing lots to either the street or another approved drainage infrastructure. The county engineer indicated that the owner would be required to dedicate lands up to 13 meters from the center line of construction of County Road 6 across both the severed and retained parcels to the County of Middlesex for the purposes of road widening. The county engineer also noted that in this circumstance, which is slightly different from the last consent that we looked at, there is an existing structure, being the previous church and soon to be residential dwelling. So if it's determined that the 13 meters is greater than the distance between the center line of the road and 1 meter away from the structure, then that distance will be satisfactory for road widening purposes. Public comments at the time of this report and subsequently from then, no comments or concerns have been received by the public from myself. So I analyzed the application, the consent application specifically, again, both the PPS, the county official plan, and as well as our township official plan. They all direct that settlement areas shall be the focus of growth and development, subject to appropriate servicing. So I'm satisfied that this can be considered infill development within a settlement area, provided they're able to demonstrate adequate water and sanitary services. So I recommend that those both be added as conditions of approval. I've also evaluated the proposed development for new residential growth development in a residential area, and I'm satisfied that the lot to be severed, being residential, is compatible with all surrounding and existing land uses. I also note that there are properties of similar sizes within Kerwood, again, capable of satisfying or adding sufficient space for dwelling, amenity space, privacy, and on-site well services. I note that by taking into consideration the land to be dedicated to the County of Middlesex for future road widening, the proposed lot to be severed and lot to be retained would be approximately 759 square meters in size, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum lot area of 1,200 square meters in the VR zone. In order to recognize this deficiency, the applicant has submitted a minor variance application, and I did evaluate that separately through a minor variance analysis. In the absence of a survey plan, what I'm recommending this evening is, although it appears that the lots will be approximately 759 square meters in size, that we actually request the variance for 750 square meters per lot, allowing for any sort of discrepancies that may show up in the survey plan. So I recommend, if approved, that the applicant be required to demonstrate lot grading and drainage be adequate on the site, as well as individual accesses will be required to each lot, with permits and approvals required by the County of Middlesex if coming off of Kerwood Road, and if the lot to be retained comes off of Mackenzie Street, then that will be required under the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe. The applicant would also be required to provide a survey plan demonstrating the proposed lot lot lines and land use dedication to the County of Middlesex, and that be approved by the township prior to depositing at the Land Registry Office. So overall, I am satisfied that the creation of the severance is desirable and considered good planning. I analyzed the minor variance as per the 4 tests of minor variance under the Planning Act, and I'm satisfied that they meet the 4 tests. So my recommendation this evening, first for consent B03-2020 is approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the certificate of consent shall be given within 1 year of the date of notice of decision. Number 2, that the applicant solicitor submits an undertaking in a form satisfactory to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment to transfer or to register electronic transfers of title. Number 3, that a preliminary survey showing the lands to be severed and the location of all buildings and structures be submitted to the township prior to being deposited at the Land Registry Office. Number 4, that 2 paper copies and 1 digital copy of the reference plan be submitted to the satisfaction of the township. Number 5, that if required, the owner provide road widening dedication to the County of Middlesex up to 13 meters from the center line of Kerwood Road to the satisfaction of the county engineer. I also note that I indicated that if the existing structure is closer than 13 meters to the center line of County Road, the land dedication requirement would be reduced to a distance measured up to 1 meter from the closest point of the structure to the center line of the road. Number 6, that any independent accesses to the lot to be severed and lot to be retained be provided, and any necessary work permits be obtained by the authority having jurisdiction. Number 7, that both the lot to be severed and lot to be retained be connected to municipal sanitary service with all costs being borne by the applicant. Number 8, that adequate and potable water supply be demonstrated to exist. Number 9, that it be demonstrated there is adequate sewer capacity for an additional residential lot within Kerwood. Number 10, that the engineered site servicing and grading plan demonstrating adequate drainage outlets be provided to the satisfaction of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe. And number 11, that any outstanding property taxes be paid in full. Finally, my recommendation for application for minor variance A05-2020 is approval this evening.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Before we move into questions or comments from the Committee of Adjustment, Jen or Greg or whoever's involved, was our applicant or our agent able to connect at all? No?
No, I still don't see either one that's in the waiting room.
Okay. All right, is there any questions or comments at all from the members of the Committee of Adjustment? Seeing none. Okay, and we were supposed to have...
I've got a question or comment, I guess. I'm wondering if the 1,200 square meters, if that predates actually having septic services, and maybe that size is to accommodate a weeping bed, which isn't necessary, because I think the smaller lot size is probably acceptable, given that they don't have to put in weeping beds.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I can make a comment on that, just and I think Councilman McKinnon can agree. When we last did a comprehensive review of our zoning bylaw, we actually did reduce that lot size. Obviously not as much as we probably should have, but it was because the lot size that was there before in the zoning bylaw was when everyone was still on septic systems. So I think when we should probably make a note of that with lot sizes when we do our comprehensive review in the future, because obviously with this, if there's going to be any more, we're going to have all these minor variances coming at us, and if we're going to be approving them all, then we may as well change our policy for that. Mm-hmm. Okay, is there any other questions at all? Seeing none. And Jennifer, you mentioned there was, so there's supposed to be an oral submission from a member of the community. Did she provide any written material at all? So we're not even sure what the comments were?
Right. So the only thing I got was that she registered and she was in the waiting room, and she's not there now. So I'm not sure what's happened.
Okay. All right. So hopefully if she's watching this live on YouTube, she can let us know if she would like to make any comments when we go for our 5-minute recess. think we're missing Deputy Mayor Hendricks. Looks like. Jen, did we receive any questions or comments at all? No? Okay.
Sorry, I keep forgetting I put myself on mute. No, we did not receive any requests.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any additional questions at all from either Councillor McKinnon or Councillor Brody? Seeing none, I just had one that I thought of. And I guess the question is more, I guess it's either for Aaron or Shannon. With the current structure, which is a church, should we work, could there be an additional condition that they get a building permit to have that converted to a residential use, or is that even needed? Just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, they will need a change of use permit to convert it from the church to the residence, and probably from a tax standpoint as well. That'll trigger the taxes. So they will need a building permit in order to do a change of use from the conversion.
Okay. The only reason I asked that, I assume that that's what the plan is, obviously. However, if with the reduced lot size, if, for example, a group wanted to get together and continue to use that as a place of worship and a church, the area may not be suitable. So that's all I was thinking, is maybe we should add that as a condition. Councillor Brody had a comment?
Just a comment on just basically, it was brought up about road access. So I could see where the new law would have road access off the county road, but if the church, where it is on that property, I would think it'd probably have to have a road access off our street, which wouldn't be a big deal. I just thought it should make that point.
That makes sense. Okay. So we have the recommendation, and that's for approval. And then there's the 11 conditions. I'm suggesting that we add that a 12th condition in there to state that they have to obtain a building permit for the change of use. If that's acceptable, if I can get a mover and seconder for that. Okay, that's moved by Councillor McKinnon, and that's to include that 12th condition.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct, as amended.
Perfect. Okay, and seconded by Councillor Brody. All those in favor? And that's carried. All right. Oh yeah, and then there's also the minor variance. So that's the, okay, thank you. Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Brody. Thank you. All those in favor? And that's carried. All right. So that's the end of the portion of our committee of adjustment. So we need a motion to resolve that the committee of adjustment be closed at 8:06 p.m. and council reconvene in regular session. Councillor Brody and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor? And that's carried. You know, the unfortunate part is Deputy Mayor Hendricks was on the call and I never got her to move or second anything, so it doesn't really look like she was here. Hopefully she gets back on here. Okay, the next part is OPA 02-2020 and Z05-2020. It's an official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for 1441 Langdon Drive. And we have Melanie Horton here. She's an authorized agent, I believe. Melanie, are you able to hear us?
There, I'm unmuted now. Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so typically we have our planner go through the report and then we go over to the applicant or the agent. I believe, Aaron, you would like me to start off with Melanie because she's has a lot of information and knowledge about what's being proposed here. Or what was the terminology you said?
But I said she'd be far more excellent at presenting the information than I would be. But I believe her coworker indicated that she had a presentation for council, if that's correct, Melanie?
Yes, it is. So, but completely up to you, Aaron, if you want to go through your report It sort of sets the overview. That would also be good.
Why don't we have you go first? I don't
Okay.
want to repeat any information. If I have anything to add, I will certainly add that in at the end.
Great.
Okay,
And I'm not sure how the
before-
technology works. Like Jennifer would have a copy of the presentation. I don't know if you can share the screen or how that works.
I'm not sure. Jen's trying to say something. Jen?
Yeah, can I get a motion for you to open up the public meeting first?
Oh, sure. Let's have a motion to resolve that the public meeting to hear official plan amendment OPA 02 2020 and zoning bylaw amendment Z05 2020 be opened at 8:09. Councilor Brody and Councilor McKinnon, all those in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
No problem. The joy is of virtual meetings. I didn't get the nudge in the arm, so. All right, so Melanie, I guess you'll go through your presentation, and anything that Aaron would like to add at the end that will work. And you said that you do have a presentation then?
Yes, I do.
So
I'm
are
not
you-
sure how to share the screen.
We have our IT specialist here. Greg, are you able to talk Melanie through that one?
Yeah, definitely. So at the bottom of your screen there in Zoom, there should be an option that says share screen. You may have to mouse over it to be able to see it. So it disappears on its own.
Does that work?
Yep.
Yep.
There, how's that?
Yep, that looks good. So what you see on your screen, we will see that.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mayor and Council and staff. I'm Melanie Horton with Harrington McCavan and the agent for Get Her Done Farms. So I'll just give you sort of a few highlights about this proposed pit expansion. So the proposal summary there, just in terms of the location, the property is at 1441 Langan Road, and it's part lot 4, concessions 3 and 4 in Township of Adelaide. It's currently partly an agricultural use, and there's an existing licensed gravel pit sort of in the middle of the property, and you'll see that in a map I have in one of the next slides. The existing pit is 11.3 hectares, so fairly small, and it has an entrance right now onto Langan Road. The proposed extension or expansion of the pit would add 27 hectares to the license. So the total licensed area would be 39 hectares. Maximum annual tonnage production is proposed at 150,000 tons. That is a maximum, so generally you'd see volumes lower than that, but that's to accommodate sort of a busy year. Hours of operation that are proposed are 7 to 7 weekdays and 8 a.m. till noon on Saturdays, with the site closed Sundays and statutory holidays. And this is gravel pit, so extraction and processing of sand and gravel is the main activities, with progressive rehabilitation back to agricultural use, with the exception of a small pond of about 2 hectares, and that's in sort of the northeast part of the site. And again, there's go to the next slide here. So hopefully these aren't too small that you could still make out the location, but you can see the site there just on the south side of Langan Drive. And this air photo in the bottom sort of gives a little better representation of the, so that in the middle of the property is the existing license, and the proposed extension consists of this piece to the north and then this piece to the south. And you'll see the property boundary is larger. So the reason for this configuration is to go around an environmental feature, so the woodlot on the east side of the property, and similarly on the west side. And the setback from Langan Road here, you'll sort of see in the next site why that's been set up that way. There were a number of technical reports that were submitted with the applications for official plan and zoning amendment. And there is an application that's been submitted to Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry for an Aggregate Resources Act license. So those are happening concurrently. I will say the municipality is ahead now of the province in terms of processing speed. MNRF was in a bit of a hiatus. They're just sort of resuming activities, I believe, in the next week or so, which is good. So the studies were a noise assessment report, a hydrogeology study. This is an above water pit, by the way, but the hydrogeology study is a requirement. A natural environment study and an archaeology report. I've got my dates, not to confuse you, but there's one error here, but the ARA application was submitted in November 2019. It was deemed complete, not in June 2019, but in January 2020. And notification was sent out to landowners and agencies at that time. And then the planning applications came in February, shortly after the ARA was submitted. There was a public information session planned, and again, that's a requirement of the ARA process. It was advertised and planned for April of this year, and with the COVID restrictions, sorry, Justin pops up on my screen occasionally. I don't know if you can see that or not. The Ministry of Natural Resources asked that we postpone that meeting. It's now been rescheduled, and I believe it may be a virtual meeting, but the date for that is October the 13th. So coming up in the next month. As I mentioned, notification was sent out. To date, we haven't received anything from neighboring landowners in terms of comments or concerns. We had 2 agency letters, one from Ministry of Agriculture and Food, and we've responded to that. And then Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks wrote in, and they've indicated they have no objections to the proposal. This shows the site plan. So just give you a general idea of the sequence of operations here. So the existing license I mentioned is in the center of the site. The plan would be to extract the northern portion of the property in the first phases of the operation, and then the southern part at the end of the operation. You'll see and there's a number of these little gray areas on the property, but at the north end of the site, and then again, these blobs in the south end, these are archaeology sites that were identified in the report that was prepared when we were doing the application. So the license has avoided those sites at the north end of the property. There is, right now, these sites, the other sites that are inside the license boundary are protected with a 20-meter buffer. There is a chance that there'd be extraction there in the future, but further archaeological work is required. They're all sort of indigenous artifacts that were located in those areas, so those would need further review, but they've been protected, and there's conditions on the site plan that speak to those areas. As I mentioned, the majority of extractions above the water table. This area right where my cursor is, so just off the north edge of the existing license and the east property boundary, there would be a small pond of about 2 hectares, and then the balance of the site will go back into an agricultural use. This is my land use planning consideration slides, and I know Erin will have her own analysis that she'll be doing once she's got all the information in front of her. It is recognized as an aggregate resource area. The studies in the application have looked at the conditions and the design to minimize impacts on the environment. And there's a provincial policy statement that speaks to the importance of aggregate resources and having them close to market. The proposal is also consistent with relevant policies in the county and township official plans, and that's sort of detailed in my planning report. And the site plans that have been submitted take into consideration all the technical studies. So there are conditions on those plans that guide the operations. And I think that's the last slide I have. So I'll if you've got questions, I'm happy to answer those whenever it's appropriate. And I'm not sure if Erin wants to add anything.
Okay, thank you so much. Erin, do you have anything you'd like to add before we have any questions at all from the members of council and then from the public?
I did want to mention one part of the OPA ZBA that isn't really, it's not really associated with the expansion request. But we did note at time of pre-consultation with Melanie and her team that the official plan schedule A1, seems to identify the location of the existing aggregate pit in the wrong location. So it's actually where it should be identified as like the area that's on her plan as sort of the existing area. It's actually at the southern part of the property and half on another property. So as part of the official plan, the actual amendment itself, we will be proposing to relocate that designation to actually represent the entire area that the expansion will take up, and to redesignate the portion on the neighboring property so that it doesn't, it just goes back into agricultural area. I have spoken to the neighbors and made them aware of this change. They had a few questions about whether or not like it impacts them in terms of taxes and that sort of thing. And they can continue to operate as normal through the agricultural use. And they were satisfied they didn't have any concerns with that. So I did want to just note that in case you read through my report and were kind of questioning what that really meant. So as we typically do with our official plan amendments, I've done just an information report. Melanie's done a lot more details through her presentation this evening, but I did just briefly talk about what their general proposal is rather. I asked for consultation from several agencies. What we have received, the township's chief building official advised of no concerns. The township's road manager did advise of several items. The first being the proposed entrance onto Langdon Drive is to be constructed to township standards, including hard surfacing to the property line with all costs borne by the applicant. Haul routes for truck traffic are to use the Langdon Drive proposed entrance east to County Road 6, Kerwood Road, as well as the existing entrance onto Wilson Road north to Langdon Drive and then onto County Road 6 as well. So we don't actually have a site plan process at the municipal level for these types of applications. It's all done through the ARA site plan process. So what we do is we provide our township comments to the MNRF, and yes, if that's the correct acronym now. Yeah. Thank you, Melanie. And then that would be something that they would take on. So the county engineer advised of no concerns as well. And we, as well as Melanie and her team, we have not received any public comments from our OPA ZBA proposal. So what the next step will be is, again, the first step for our OPAs, we're bringing forward our information report for council's consideration. Next steps will be the recommendation report that would have the policy analysis included in it. And then that would be brought back to council at a future date. So typically, you know, in the regular ARA process, they would be able to have held their public meeting in April. And so we would be able to bring back our official plan recommendation and zoning recommendation quite quickly. I'm just proposing that we wait till, I mean, we're not going to make the next circulation for the October meeting anyway. So we'll be looking to the applicants to inform us when they'd like to bring the second report back. So my recommendation this evening is that this report for OPA 2 2020 and ZBA 05 2020 be received for information, and that council direct staff to prepare a subsequent report evaluating the applications and providing a recommendation for council's consideration.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. Is there any questions at all from either Councillor McKinnon or Councillor Brody? Seeing none. All right, so Aaron just read the recommendation. Do you have a mover and seconder for that? Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Brody, all those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so thank you so much, Melanie, and we're looking forward to seeing the report from Aaron and to hear from you, and maybe in the future we'll be able to get together in a council chamber, but we'll see if that happens in the near future. So thank you so much for your presentation and all the information that you provided.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hope to see you all in person soon too.
Okay, thanks. Alrighty. Okay, so we need a motion to resolve that the public meeting to hear official plan amendment OPA 02-2020 and zoning bylaw amendment Z05-2020 be closed at 8:23. Okay, Councilor Brody and Councilor McKinnon, all those in favor, and that's carried. And I assume there's nothing else for the agenda. I don't see anything else. I will make a note, Jen, we did land on the next planning meeting. I think it was October 20th.
Yes, I have not heard any rejections for that date at 7 p.m. So I will go ahead and schedule that webinar, and I'll let the 2 applications that we have so far, I'll let them know that that's going to be our next planning date.
Excellent. Thank you, Jen. And that's plenty of time. I was talking to Morgan. I sent him a message. I thought we were going to have some music for our 5-minute intermission, but it didn't happen. So maybe Greg, work on that for October 20th. Or maybe do a little, video or something. I don't know. Okay, if that's it, we will have a motion to adjourn. And we'll see everybody next time. Councilor McKinnon, you are muted, but you're trying to say something.
Jack would love to mute me. Anyways, we could take them on a virtual tour of the township during the recess.
It's true. So we could do like videos and stuff, right? There's audio. And, okay, so why don't we do some fun stuff? People are watching. We should allow them to, I don't know.
Have a good laugh.
Exactly. We can get in touch with the library, Middlesex County Library. They have some great videos out there as well. I don't know if you've seen it, but I read a book for a children's book that was good and entertaining. So we're going to work on something, everybody, if you're still watching. Morgan, how many people are watching still?
You got about four or five now. And I was actually going to suggest that I believe there's a really good children's book that was read by a mayor of the township that we might need to put out there and market a little bit better.
Yeah, it's about counting monkeys.
Yeah.
Counting monkeys.
Yeah, so I read the book, Count the Monkey. So look that up on the Middlesex County Library system. Good. So we need a motion before Councilor Brody leaves us. He looks like he's wanting to get out of here. So by Councilor Brody, second by Councilor McKinnon. All those in favor, and that's carried. And that's it. Good to have everybody live on YouTube.